everyone, this is Anna from Cat Realty, and today I'm going to do a bit of a different video where I'm going to look into what are the most searched things about Portugal and answer them. This is based on apparently popular celebrity videos. It was suggested by my marketing manager, so I'm curious to see how this will go, and I'm also curious to see what will pop up regarding the most searched things about Portugal. So for those of you who don't know, Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that supports expats in moving to Portugal. We work with both rentals and purchases, and we work from a lifestyle perspective, so we will help you find the best location and the best place for you to settle for your new life in Portugal. We look at each thing individually and each person individually, and our service are extremely tailored to each client. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, feel free to check our website in www.catrailty.com, or even reach out to us directly using contact@catrailty.com. So I have my iPad here, and I will be looking into what are the things that are being looked in Google. So, Google, about Portugal. Okay, what Portugal is famous for. So, Portugal is famous for olive oil, cork, and fruits. We have a lot of very high quality fruits. So we have some interesting things that Portugal is famous for, but I would say that the thing that Portugal is most famous for is football, or soccer. So Cristiano Ronaldo is probably the most famous person in Portugal. And whenever I go abroad and I say I'm Portuguese, usually the first reaction is, "Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo." So, yeah, I guess we're pretty famous for that too. And I'm guessing that Algarve is a very famous holiday destination too. And we are getting more famous also the big cities like Lisbon and Porto. Lisbon is starting to get on the radar because of how popular it's getting, and also how demanded it is and how expensive it's getting. So the next question is, what Portugal exports? So I answered a bit of this at the beginning. We export a lot of olive oil and fruits, and oranges are very famous, in particular the Algarve oranges in Portugal. And let me think, what else do we export? Oh, shoes. The shoe industry is starting to be renowned in Portugal. Portuguese shoes are starting to be compared to Italian shoes. So that's nice. And yeah, I guess that's what's coming to mind right now when it comes to exports. So the next question here is, what is Portugal's currency? So right now it is euro. But before the conversion to euro, the Portuguese currency used to be escudo. And then the cents were called centavos. How Portugal was formed, and Google gives an automatic answer on the date. So we have here that it was formed in October 11,000, so 1,143. Yeah, that was a brain bug. Sorry about that. So Portugal is actually one of the oldest countries, and we were formed during a battle for independence. And we were lucky because at the time, Spain had the whole peninsula, and there was a battle going on in the Catalonia area, so where Barcelona is. And then the first king of Portugal started rebelling too. And because Spain had pretty much to choose to which one they were going to fight, they decided to take most of the troops to Catalonia. And our first king also managed to get the support from the Pope because he promised to basically expel the Arabs from the south of the peninsula, where now we have Algarve. It used to be an Arabic territory. So they got the support from the church through that and managed to form the country in October 5th, 1143. So that's the answer for that. So the next question, how Portugal celebrates Christmas. So Portugal is a mostly Christian country. We even had some pretty serious Inquisition back in the 700s and 800s. So we celebrate Christmas in typical Christian ways, although there is still some pagan influences like the Christmas tree. Back in the day, it was more traditional to actually bring a pine tree from a forest and do the decorations and all of that. We usually have a big meal on with the Christmas Eve, so usually the dinner before, and then lunch on the Christmas Day. And it's typical to open the presents at midnight. I do have a video about Christmas traditions where you are able to see a lot more details about this, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this question. So the next question we have here is something that I find very interesting, that is how Portugal won the war on drugs. So this is apparently a very popular theme outside of Portugal. I think us Portuguese people don't think this is such a big deal as it actually is. So one of the things that happens here in Portugal is that drug possession under a certain amount is decriminalized. So if you are caught with individual amounts of drugs, you are not criminally penalized. However, you are advised to go into rehabilitation programs and so on. And of course, the sale of drugs is criminally penalized and does incur in prison times, and drug amounts of higher volumes that are considered distributor volumes are also criminalized. So that is one of the big differences. And I believe that the public-sponsored rehabilitation programs is definitely one of the things that made a big impact. But I wouldn't say exactly that Portugal won the war of drugs. There is still drug use in Portugal. It's still a problem. Maybe it is as bad as the problem in the other countries. And I do think that these measures definitely had a positive impact and overall positive result in the Portuguese society. So, the next question we have here is how Portuguese look like. How Portuguese look like? That's kind of an interesting question. So, I would say that we are a mix of between Latins and Europeans, but overall, Portugal is one of those countries where you really see a bit of everything. So I often say that Portugal is the end of Europe. So with all the conquests that happened throughout the centuries, Portugal would often be the last stop, as they usually came from the interior side and come all the way to Portugal and the peninsula, Iberian Peninsula. And then, unless you wanted to cross the Atlantic, there isn't really much else where to go. So Portugal was often the last stop on the conquest, and it was common for the conquering parties to settle in Portugal and just stay there and make their families and so on. So Portugal has a fairly big mix of traits, and we have a bit of everything. But Yeah, I think it's hard to see how to identify someone as a Portuguese person just for looking at them because of that. But yeah, like I would say, maybe a mix between Latin and European, probably. So of course, where is Portugal is the first one. So as I've been saying, Portugal is at the end of the peninsula, Iberian Peninsula, at the very end of Europe, and is also one of the countries with the largest stretch of maritime land in the world. Okay, so the next thing I'm going into is Portugal. So the first thing that comes up is Portugal a poor country? Well, this depends on perspective mostly. So Portugal is not the healthiest economy, but it's not exactly a third world country either. So far from that, we have very good quality of life and climate, and we do have a developed country when it comes to accessibility and technology. We are also one of the countries with highest English proficiency. I believe we are ranked 7th in the world at the moment. However, our salaries are quite low, and from that perspective, the country is quite poor. So about almost 48% of the population is at risk of being below the poverty line. And this is mostly due to the fact that the salaries are very far from accompanying with the inflation and the increase of the international economy. So from that perspective, Portugal is a poor country. However, from a living perspective, and if you come here with a foreign salary, Portugal is an amazing place to live. Which also brings us to the second question, that is Portugal safe? And the answer is yes. Portugal is also considered to be one of the safest countries in the world. I don't remember exactly what the rank is right now, but it's up on the top 10. And generally, we have pretty low criminality rates, and it's an extremely safe country to live in. So that, of course, brings us back to the fact that if you come here living with a foreign income, you have an amazing quality of life, both when it comes to safety and to the accessibility, quality of food, the even quality of living. The architecture and traditions are also amazing. It's a very culturally rich country. So in that perspective, it's definitely not a poor country. The next thing is Portugal water safe to drink? This is an odd country, an odd question. Well, it depends. Tap water is generally safe to drink. We does have different levels of duress. I don't know if that's the right word. So in Portuguese, we call it dureza. So basically the water pH. But yes, Portugal water is safe to drink, but of course don't go drinking river water or stream water. So yes, I would say so. So the next one is Portugal cheap or expensive? This goes back into the same thing I was saying before, so I don't think it's worth going over again. Is Portugal a first world country? Once again, it is an European country, and I would say it's a first world country, but it does have a lot of shortcomings. Is Portugal Mediterranean? Yes, Portugal is Mediterranean. Is Portugal in the European Union? Yes, Portugal is in the European Union. Why visit Portugal? Well, yes, I already gave you a lot of reasons to, but I say one of the things that are amazing about Portugal is the diversity of landscapes that we have here. So although we are a pretty small country, you have a very wide diversity of natural landscapes. Down in the Algarve, you have absolutely amazing beach and cliffside sea landscapes. And then a bit more interior in the Alentejo, you have amazing plain landscapes. Then if you keep going up, you have Lisbon with really interesting cityscapes and forest areas and mountain areas like the Serra da Estrela. My favorite mountain area in Portugal is Jerez, which is a gorgeous natural forest mountain area with a lot of water streams and lakes, and it is just amazing. So, on top of that, our food is internationally renowned. It's very, very much a Mediterranean diet, so it generally tends to be also pretty healthy. So yeah, I would say that a lot of reasons to visit Portugal. So there is a lot of questions and appearing around this topic. Why visit Portugal? Why come live in Portugal? Why is Portugal popular? And the answer is pretty much on the first question answer that I gave. And yeah, all of those reasons: safety, diversity of landscape, climate, quality of food, quality of life. Overall, it makes Portugal quite a popular location. Next question is also, why is Portugal poor? I also went over this on the previous question set. And the next one is, why is Portugal passport powerful? So yes, Portuguese, the Portuguese powerful is also one of the best passports in the world, and it does give you entry into a lot of countries. Of course, being part of the European Union also gives you free circulation within the European Union. So there are a lot of advantages on the Portuguese passport, and it's overall quite an unrestricted passport. I like this next one. Why is Portugal the best country in the world? I wouldn't say it's the best country in the world, but I would say it's a very good place to live in. I like this one too. Why is Portugal not a part of Spain? Well, we don't want to be a part of Spain. We are very happy being independent. And there is a funny saying about Portugal, and it came from back in the Roman conquest, where we weren't even a country, we were just the Lusitanian tribe. And there is a report from a Roman general saying that Portuguese people, or the Lusitanian people, doesn't govern itself nor lets others govern them. So I think this pretty much still applies. We don't like to be ruled by other people, but it's overall a mess ruling ourselves. So I think that sums up Portugal not being a part of Spain. And I think this goes over most of the things. I can't think of anything else to ask Google. So I went on the how, why, where, when. I hope this was fun, a bit of a different video. At Savvy Cat, we launch content every week. Every week you have a new video about different things about Portugal, both on lifestyle, on culture, and on technical things like constructing and renovating and so on. Once again, Savvy Cat Realty is a well-location and investment agency. We work in all of continental Portugal, and we support with both rentals and purchases and work from a lifestyle-tailored perspective. Feel free to reach out to us at contact@savvycatrealty.com. We also share a lot of information about our services and also have our blog with a lot of useful information about Portugal in our website in www.savvycatrealty.com. So yes, I would love to hear your feedback and your opinions on the questions I answered and how I answered them. I hope this was a different, fun video and that you enjoyed it. And I see you all next week. Bye!